Hello, my MGTOW brothers, back again in for another video. This time we're going to have a break from the esoteric side and we're going to go to the practical side. This video is going to be in response to TFM's call for solutions. In other words, what are we going to do going forward, and what's going to replace its current system that is decaying and continually breaking down between the sexes. Now, before we go into that, we got to set a little groundwork, and a lot of it is I've already done in previous videos. We're talking about populations, talking about laws and reproductive rights and all that stuff. So we're just going to briefly touch on some of these. The history of civilizations has always been about the interaction between the society and its managers, or we sometimes call the ruling class. And for 6,000 or 7,000 years, that management of the society has been fairly stable. It's taken many forms, and the family structure that we see, that the form that it took was patriarchy. Our laws, our socialization, all that stuff was all been hard-coded, not only in our psyche but also in our DNA. And our rulers, or our managers of said societies, had a basis or a foundation to actually work with. But for the past 200 years, with the introduction of machines and the Industrial Revolution, which completely changed the landscape and the environment of industrialized societies, it has been a constant back and forth between the two, between the managers and the societies, or the people that they had to manage. All societies have to be managed, primitive or advanced. All human societies have to be organized and managed to be effective. And for the past 200 years, there have been various experiments on how to manage societies in this new environment. Socialism, feminism, democracy, authoritarianism, statehood have all been attempts on how to manage human potential in a new landscape. Patriarchy, which had been for 10,000 years the fundamental basis for families in the agricultural environment, almost immediately started to break down when the industrial society was actually introduced. And the managers of society, not having a foundation or a playbook to go by, started tinkering and adjusting, not only for managing the labor of the people, but also what to do with the family structure. With each new advancement, the labor structure, or the labor roles of the sexes, started to break down and change. The need for children and the amount of children in families immediately started to change. Children, which were absolutely essential part of human economy and human society, their roles started to change almost immediately. And as we advance further and further, and the types of labor became more and more different, and human productivity increased and was replaced by machines, families in general and women in particular became redundant as far as producing the next generation of human capital. Thus, the need for the old family structure started to decay and become unnecessary. By the same token, the man's role as far as in the family, as far as being the patriarch and being responsible for the production and for the care for large families, became redundant also. The need for a patriarchy became obsolete. But since human culture changes a lot slower than the environment does or the physical culture does, and there being no new model to go by, for the past 100 years we have gone through a series of modified patriarchies until 1970. To paraphrase a quote from Robert Bly from his book Iron John that he wrote in 1992, the separatist wing of feminism labored over many decades to breed the fierceness out of men. You could say the same thing for Western countries because of the population explosion and the large group of men or boys that were born and the resulting upheaval in society that was going on. They also needed a way to breed the fierceness or the aggression out of men. The solution that they came up with was to dismantle the old patriarchy, at least what was left of it, and socialize the women and the boys or the men and start to build their form of matriarchy, something they could hope would be handled or managed a lot better. After 45 years of this resocialization experiment, it comes down to the point where the men are no longer accepting the program. The inner fierceness or the inner aggression of men is actually starting to come to the fore. The policy campaign to turn boys into beta males has resulted in what we call now MGTOW, which is why MGTOW uses the symbol of Neo and the red pill, because Neo rejected his programming. He rejected his socialization, and he was the one that rebelled against the system. And just like in the Matrix, Neo's rejection of his role and rejection of his program caused a cascade effect inside the Matrix. And MGTOW is causing a cascade effect inside our Western Matrix. MGTOW isn't so much of a movement as much as it is a systemic cascade failure in the matrix of Western civilization. It is something the architects or the managers of the societies, Western societies, have no answer for. There's nothing to be done. If the human beings won't accept the program, you can't inject something that they refuse, especially something that goes against their internal nature. And what was it that caused the cascade failure, the systemic failure? One word: choice. Men are choosing to walk away from the program. But we're here to talk about solutions. And for solutions, there's two parts, as there always has been. One from the managers, and the other is from the managed. As the managed, as MGTOWs, we have already spoken. We have already come to a conclusion, and we have already started processing the immediate solution of walking away. Now it's time for society itself to offer its counterproposal to the problem, since feminist matriarchy clearly doesn't work. And you're going to have to start bringing men to the table before the systemic failure goes too far. The first and most obvious solution, I think, that the managers or the policymakers have come up with is vassal gel, which is a male birth control. If it's successful, it will give the same choice to men that women have had for 50 years. And by giving men choice, it will hopefully equalize some of the disparities going on in society, in Western societies. It's a bold risk that the managers are taking, the policymakers are taking, because if overly successful, it could mean the collapse of Western society as we know it. But that's a good start. What are the other things that should be implemented as policy? We should demand a resocialization of boys back to their previous nature, which had worked for thousands of years. So that means schools that should be separated away from girls, where boys can learn and boys can thrive in their own environment, where boys can get their needs met. So that means all colleges, all high schools, all middle schools, all grade schools should be separated. And male teachers, to the greatest extent possible, should be brought into the classroom so that men can teach men. And then let the women teach women so they can be happy with their own advancement. The second thing that should be done is, since the patriarchy has been dismantled already and it's not a good model going forward, you should remove all vestiges from the law of what is left of the patriarchy: child support, alimony, and those kinds of misandry laws that have been going on for the last 50 years. I think that male contraceptives should have the same rights and privileges that female contraceptive has. There is no reason that a simple shot should cost $300 or $400, which is all Vasogel really is. It's an injection of a polymer. Male contraceptive should have equal footing. I think once that's done, if you want the males to continue to reproduce, they should have the same access to services and social services that women do now. The society should protect all its citizens, not just the female side. I think the next thing is to get rid of all family courts. Any family matters such as support or even alimony in separation should be handled by civil courts where it belongs. And since Western societies have been completely liberalized, I think that we should experiment with all kinds of groupings. Polygamy, good old-fashioned monogamy, and everything in between, since the state will no longer be invested in having a contract and the family courts will be eliminated. Allow individuals to group as they may and give people the framework to actually do this. And my last section is, this is all dependent upon the social environment and the physical environment that we find ourselves in. Any solution that we come up with right now is only temporary because our physical environment is changing so rapidly. There's no way we could actually predict what solutions that we can come up with until society actually stabilizes. In 20 years, the object of whether we're male or female could no longer be more than an arbitrary difference. With gene therapy, nanotechnology, and that kind of thing, any attempt to predict the future or future solutions is rendered practically impossible. But for now, this would be a good first step.